Ayòbámi in your book. And it then sort of grows on a local and regional and a statewide level. We see the repercussions through the book. And Stephen, there's inter-ethnic and religious violence in your book, but there's also, I think, the very small violence that's done to people. I wonder if both of you could talk about the challenges of writing violent scenes or violent storylines and still wanting to keep your readers.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and thank you to everyone for coming. With as kind of good things, I think, I mean, very, very rightly said, there's an overarching violence that I think is happening throughout the book, so being imposed by the state on everyone is deliberate. And one of the things I was thinking about is how do I show the impact of that in everyday life, in many times, even in instances where consequences not immediately apparent. So, for instance, one of the things that happens, before the book begins, is in your last father and Elias, the boy who's for the course family loses his job. It doesn't immediately seem like the violence happened, but as the book unfolds, you see a lot of the consequence and how he sort of sets up these chains of events. And in terms of keeping the reader, I feel like I feel like for me it's I don't think it's gratuitous in any way, really. The points where it happens are very carefully calibrated and thought out, as at points where I feel it is necessary, where I feel it would be impossible to tell this particular story with a honesty without going there. And for me as a writer, particularly the intimate violence that happened, it was something that I struggled to write about. So the book went through a few drafts, and in the first iteration, I wouldn't write from the perspective of the victim at all. Was writing from someone else who's observing. And if anybody's read the novel, there's someone who observes the first moment we see that artist. And it was reading initially from that perspective. And by the time I got to the end of the draft, I had to ask myself, why am I avoiding this? And I think it was just because I didn't want to be in that body, that was happening to. And I had to come to it and get in there because I felt it was necessary to tell a honest and true story of this woman's life, what she's experiencing in this moment, and not go there with her. So yeah, this are some of the ways that I think about that cinema that I comment to it.
And I love what you said about that hesitation that Sia had of inhabiting her body. Stephen, there's a scene in a church, and that's not a spoiler to give, that something terrible happens when there's a mob from a different religion coming to attack people in the church. We don't see the moments of violence that changes the trajectory of the book. I felt it. I felt it the first time I read the book and the second. Talk to us a little bit about, that challenge of writing violence, and if it's to say it and to use, I'm going to describe.
Yeah, I'm thanking everyone for coming. I think violence is something that I think the African writer or the Nigerian writer in the week we just have to think and write about, because violence is a very key, post-colonial theme, a very key Nigerian theme. And Nigeria is a country that's very composite of 5-10 countries that the colonizers forced to be together, and that process of transitioning from a colonial state order or whatever to a post-colonial order, comes with so much violence, and because the countries, the citizens are all trying to develop love for each other and to be a nation anyway. And so I think there's no, I think for the writer, the writer, the Nigerian writer, whatever, has to face that and confront that, because it's just a very key theme to write about. And in my novel, I explore the internal and the external violence. The external violence, such as the riots, the religious riots, the political riots, and all that are often almost in the creatures in Nigeria. Right? There's people who killing each other, and like in the Western media doesn't talk about those things. It doesn't concern them, right? But which is very sad. So I also talk about the internal violence, the violence that's the external impacts, right? The external causes, on the mind. In terms of, for example, like for example, the legacy of slavery and colonialism, it's a very, very huge thing. I mean, how people are being forced to think differently, to abandon their own ideas, their own systems of being, and to choose that of the colonizers, right? That's what my narrative deals with. It deals with like this internalized fate, like he hates himself, he hates skin, he wants a blonde one, he wants to take white, he wants to waste and all that. And so I was trying to, I had no choice but to face these things and to try to write about them. And I think for a good chunk of my life as a writer, I didn't have the confidence or the maturity or this thing seemed too hinge, and that I could write about those things for a long time. And some of my earlier writing had to do with, I would write some science fictional stories that fit elsewhere. I'm not in my community. Because I just couldn't face what was happening. Back at school, what was happening around there, and